We're looking at some really what happens that God's touch can be very challenging at times. I'm super excited about this day because you're going to be able to meet these three of the people that we, over the course as God has challenged us and we've grown, we have been hiring people to help us achieve the mission He's calling us to. And today, you're going to meet three of the people that are really special to me that work here at K2. So hope you enjoy this.
We're Brad and Shannon Olson, and we have three children. Dylan, who is 6, Dawson, 3, and we have a little newborn girl, Dakota, who's 7 months.
We've been in Georgia as a couple for 11 years.
11 years, I guess.
And I've been in Georgia my whole life, so this is actually the first time I've ever moved that I can really recall. And fortunately, it's just a short little distance from Georgia to Utah. Hello! We were pastoring a church in Georgia we planted just outside of Atlanta, and we did that for 5 years.
I knew that I wasn't supposed to go back and sign a contract to teach again. We knew that it, what the Lord had wanted to do with our church, that it had been accomplished.
I'm not good with change. I mean, change and me, we don't get along. She loves change, I hate change. I'm a Georgia boy, just settle me in with my, in the South and just, I'm just comfortable there. And very, very, change is a challenge for me. We knew we were going to be in ministry, but we needed a certain thing.
We kind of sat packed, I think, for probably
like
two
or
or
3
months, just sat packed. We knew God was going to do something.
As we got out here for the interview, we saw the kind of changes that were going to be taking place, and
It was kind of scary.
it was pretty freaky, it really was. Because I'm so hesitant for change, I was kind of wanting God to just kind of, here it is, big light in the sky, give me a sign, give me something. It seemed like we got little things, and from there we just kind of we left here and went back to Georgia just going, well, we kind of see it, but we weren't 100% sure. And then I remember we figured we'd pray about it a couple weeks. It was like the second day after we got back to Georgia after the interview, I put in Rut's record, and we were in the car together, and it just something about the way the Lord used the music, or something like the Lord kind of spoke to us. But one step at a time, God kind of showed us a little bit and said, this is where you need to go. The biggest challenge, you ask about challenges in Utah, it's the same challenge we have anywhere else walking with God, just trusting Him, just trusting Him.
We are Taryn and Ben Wolf. We moved here from Chicago, Illinois in the middle of July for Ben to take over the video editor position at the church. We came here more or less just for a vacation. That's how we came into it. And we went through the interview. We're like, okay, yeah, it went well. And then Sunday, the Rutledges took us up to Ensign Peak. It was there that we really started to get a sense of what the church was all about, why they're here.
2% of the valley are Christians, and that totally started a stirring.
God really used that to speak to us. This might be more than a job, and this might be where He wants us to come.
We wanted to know if this was of God. And if it wasn't, we didn't want to have absolutely anything to do with it.
We don't know what's going to happen if we accept this, but we're going to accept it and think about the details later.
The people I interviewed with, they cared about who I was, and they cared about true, spiritual implications that this move means in our lives. And, initially we saw it as just a job, something I could do. But then the more and more we talked about it with friends and family and everybody, we just realized that this wasn't just a job. It was truly a calling. It did take some adjustment, definitely moving out here though, because we moved from a 4-bedroom house, starting to settle in and make decisions for our future, to a 2-bedroom apartment. We had absolutely no idea the trials and the hard times.
But it's brought Ben and I a whole lot closer in our relationship. I guess you'd still consider us newlyweds, and We still have a lot to learn about each other.
We know that God's on our side, that He's watching out for us, and He's taking care of those problems. I really think that we wouldn't, if we really knew what lie ahead of us, we wouldn't be here right now.
I would say even to the point where when we were still trying to decide and we had pretty much made up our mind, we just felt this overwhelming sense of if we didn't come out here, if we didn't at least give it a try, we knew that we'd be going against God's will. And that if we stayed where we were, even though we were comfortable there, we'd be totally miserable. And
we were comfortable there.
And He really made it clear that this is where He wants us to be, and this is where He wants us serving Him.
Hi, I'm Mike Seifert, the Technical Director here at K2 The Church, and this is my lovely wife, Amy Seifert.
We have 2 daughters, Elizabeth Grace, who is 2.5 years old, and Abigail, who is 17 months.
Amy and I have been here for about 5.5 months. We came here from Paris, Texas, a little community out in the sticks of East Texas, where I was a senior pastor of a little church out there. I felt like the Lord was calling me to a new place, a place where I could use my gifts and talents differently. And I found a listing for K2 The Church. They were looking for a technical director. I could tell right away that this was a church that was passionate about reaching out to people and loving people. So in February, we came out and took a look at the church and explored to see kind of what everything was all about. And we really enjoyed what we saw.
We were stunned that we had found a church that not only followed the Bible, but actually put the words into action. And that really excited us. We wanted to see a church that was passionate about Jesus, but really, truly extended their hands to the poor. We felt like K2 was an incredible opportunity. We loved the church. We loved all the people that we met, but we did not feel at peace about it. We went home really questioning what in the world God was doing, because it just didn't feel like the right time, and we just didn't get that confirmation to go, even though in every logical sense it seemed like the right thing for us.
It was about 2 months later, and we were up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we went back to bed and we started talking and praying. And as I started seeking the Lord on this, and we both started seeking the Lord, it became really clear that He wanted me to call Mike Rutledge back after he had already extended the offer of the position, and then I had declined it because I didn't feel called. God was asking me to call Mike Rutledge back and ask to see if the job was still available.
It was an awesome time for our family. God really blessed that time for us. We got to move back to Dallas and spend time with family and friends, and it was a real time of healing for us. If we had come right after being interviewed in February and just jumped in and started Easter and all that goes with Easter services, we wouldn't have done a very good job. We were tired and needed a break, and I think God knew that. He knew it wasn't the best time for us to come out.
It was obvious that this is where God was calling us to. And we knew that it would mean leaving family and friends behind. And we decided that it was worth that step.
There's a great joy that we find in being in the center of God's will. It may require sacrifice, but there is just such joy in that sacrifice.
I feel like because we took this step of faith, because we stepped out and went where God was calling us to, God has blessed that. And He's really transformed our lives. That we're both changed people. That our lives are just not the same. I can't imagine not being at the center of His will.